evening, everyone. Today is Tuesday, February 11th, 2025 at 6 p.m. This is a joint meeting between the Board of Selectmen, the Golf Management Committee, and the Golf Facilities Exploratory Committee. Is there a motion to call the Board of Selectmen meeting to order?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Flynn, if you could call the Golf Management Committee to order.
Is there a motion to open the golf management committee?
I'll make the motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And Mr. DeRoche, can you please call the Exploratory Committee to order?
Yes, sir. Is there a motion to open the Golf Facilities Exploratory Committee?
Motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we are now in open session. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, everyone, this should be a brief meeting, but we do have some decent stuff to get through here. What I'd like to do first is just do some simple introductions for everybody. I'm sure we've all talked in the past, but not all of us have met face to face. We'll start with this. When we get to the Golf Facilities Exploratory Committee, if you could each talk a little bit about yourself and what interests you in being on the committee, and then we'll move through the agenda. So we have Mr. Kelly here, the Town Administrator. I'm Bob Hinckley, Chairman of the Board of Selectmen.
Selectman Kevin Gaskell. David Moran, Board of Selectmen.
John Roy, Facilities Committee, school teacher in Acushnet for almost 30 years, taught technology and engineering, and have done various, did the Energy Committee, and we also, I sat on the school renovation project for 3 years. That was an interesting 3 years of my life. I look forward to being on this committee. It seems like this is going to be a lot of fun and interesting to pull this all together and do something good for the town.
Dave DeRoche. I live in the north end of Acushnet by Ashes Peaches. Commercial photographer by trade, architectural photographer in Boston, also owner of South Coast Community Homes, which is an over 55 manufactured home community in New Bedford. Served on the board for one term, got experience there working directly with the golf committee on numerous projects that we had over those years, and I really look forward to putting something together to expand the course and bring it up to the next level.
Jeff Fabian, I live off Nice Lane, right over there. Owner-operator of Acushnet Construction, lifelong Acushnet resident, lifelong golfer, always at River Valley, and looking forward to doing something good for the town.
Adam Damaris. I've lived in Acushnet my whole life. I worked at a golf course throughout college and even before college, so I kind of bring some knowledge of just like pro shop, facilities type stuff through that. And I play golf, so I'm at the course a lot. That's primarily where I play is Acushnet River Valley. So just excited to kind of try to see what we can do to improve the course.
Doug Corrigan, local electrician here in town, part-time wiring inspector here, and been involved with many building projects throughout the area, and we're going to get a clubhouse built.
I'm Dave Flynn. I'm the chairman of the Golf Management Committee, and I'm just happy that everybody is showing this interest in this project that I've wanted for a while now on the committee myself. So glad everyone's here.
I'm Adam Peavy. This is actually, I was appointed to the golf committee just a couple of weeks ago, so this is my first meeting. But I was the head golf professional at Acushnet River Valley from 2007 through 2013. So I was in that double wide trailer for 6 seasons, and I'm happy that we're making the right steps to get a clubhouse.
Neil Downing, newly appointed to the golf committee, live on Evergreen Drive, right next to the course, always at the course. My son plays there. I help coach PGA Junior League. Public adjuster by trade. We used to be a builder.
Michael Vassar, long-time resident of Acushnet. I was a former building contractor in town, built some houses in town. I currently do insurance claims, mainly property claims, property damage, things like that. I also, 2 years ago, was the project manager for Dana Farms when they did their total rebuilding, siding, and things like that. Avid golfer, played day one in the Acushnet when they had the Residence Day. Really looking forward for them to hopefully get a nice clubhouse and facility there.
John Aberray, I'm on the golf committee. I was a coach at Old Colony for golf for 28 years, so been out on that course for a long time.
Got a couple state championships under your belt, right?
Here and there. But yeah, it's about time this comes apart. You know.
My name's Rich DiPrato. I've been in the golf industry for nearly 35 years. I've been working at Acushnet Company since 1995 in a variety of spaces. I started in manufacturing, and then I've matriculated through the research and development group. I manage the test facility here in Acushnet on Manchester Lane. I have experience managing golf courses. I was the president of Reservation Golf Club for 4 years, and I was on the Greens Committee for 2 years prior to that. I'm reading through some of these notes, and I see the talk about the pandemic, and navigating our time through the pandemic was a very difficult chore for us. And I'm pretty proud of the team that I had at that reservation, and I think learning from those experiences, I think I can help with this team, and I'm looking forward to any opportunity I can provide my experience with.
Excellent. All right, gentlemen, I am gonna take this slightly out of order, just so I can bring your attention to anybody that's not familiar with the Massachusetts open meeting laws. Everybody that has just got a packet has a mass open meeting law guideline. Essentially, there's a lot of rules and regulations when it comes to discussing town business outside of an open meeting. So if you're ever in a situation where, in this particular case, the Golf Facilities Exploratory Committee happen to have 4 people in the same room, and you're talking about golf, technically that's a violation of mass open meeting law unless you declare a meeting. It's pretty important to pay attention to. You get used to it really quick, but definitely take care of it. And also, if you haven't, make sure you see the town clerk. I know you've all been sworn in, but make sure you talk to her about any ethics tests that are required for any appointed or elected officials. Pam's super helpful. Any questions you have involving mass open meeting law, ethics, or any of the above, Pam will have the answer on the spot, or at least get you the answer as soon as possible. For charge of duties, I'm actually going to pass this off to Selectman Warner, because he had a big hand in putting this together, if you don't mind.
Sure. Thanks, Bob, and thank you all for being here and doing this. I think, you know, to take on a project of this magnitude that's going to get a lot of scrutiny from the taxpayer and people at town meeting, to have you gentlemen step up and provide your level of expertise to our golf management committee and to the Board of Selectmen, I think is just incredible. Just hearing the backgrounds of all of you, I mean, we're really fortunate to have this, you know, breadth of experience. You know, between Dave sitting on the Board of Selectmen, understanding those dynamics and the constituents. You know, Jeff Fabian, yes, he's a contractor, but his family puts on one of the biggest tournaments at Acushnet River Valley, so he's got that perspective. You know, Rich just, you know, I think he was being humble, oversaw the construction of a multi-million-dollar project on Manchester Lane, right? So every one of you will have something to offer, which I think is really exciting. Could the 3 of us have done this? Probably. Could the Golf Management Committee have done it? Probably. But to have this level of brain power in the room and ultimately go to town meeting to be the evangelist for this project, I think is going to be something special that this town probably hasn't seen on a project like this. So hats off to you. I know Mr. Gasper will get into the finances, but just, again, it's to work in conjunction with the Golf Management Committee. They're here to support, to help you. You know, I think we talked about maybe John Aberray serving as the ex officio chair. And just so you understand the reason why, and I think, you know, those of you who served on town boards, to have 3 levels of being vetted before we get to town meeting is really important, right? So if we have this exploratory committee made up of multiple members of the golf management committee, they're essentially voting on something twice that they've already been part of, right? So we want the exploratory committee to come up with recommendations that make its way back to the golf management committee, who ultimately make a recommendation to the board of selectmen, and then we go to town meeting with a project. Our role really is not to get into like what size windows or doors or any of that kind of stuff. We're the fiduciary, you know, we have the fiduciary responsibility of making sure that the project is something that we can afford, it's something that fits with the overall budget, and so on and so forth. So that's the role of the board of selectmen. You know, we want to be mindful of that the project fits the character of the golf course, and it's inviting. You know, there's been different theories. Oh, geez, we should have something. We should have a wedding at, or it's just a place to go and, you know, check in and make sure it's a basic facility. I've had great ideas about maximizing the outside space with a pavilion along those lines. I think you guys will come up with some good recommendations there. And then we ask that you work quickly and diligently. We've got a town meeting in June, so ideally we'd love to go to town meeting for there to get funding. But if it does, we don't want to rush it, but we also, if we can make that deadline, great. If not, we'll go to November, you know, we'll go to a fall town meeting. But as you know, the sooner we can get shovels in the ground and get this thing moving, it's for our benefit. I think that's pretty much it. I know Mr. Gasper has some things he wants to talk about regarding the budget as well.
I don't know if it's, thank you, Selectman Warren, I don't know if it's so much about the budget. I mean, we know what we have for the Golf Management Committee, the Board of Selectmen, the FinCom, we know what we have in reserves. We know that we don't want to overextend ourselves. We've, the Town of Acushnet, Board of Selectmen, FinCom, Golf Management Committee, most importantly, Golf Management Committee, we've always made a commitment to the taxpayers that this golf course would never cost the taxpayers a dime. We're on the brink of fulfilling that obligation long-term, 27 years of bonding for that. We extended it back, the Board of Selectmen extended it back somewhere in the 2015-16 era to lower the principal and interest because golf was on the decline and we were paying roughly $550,000 in principal and interest. So we rebonded and we extended that out for another 7 years, dropping that by almost $250,000 to make sure we kept that charge in place and we never put that back on the taxpayers then. We are literally within a 2-year time frame or less of paying that bond off. So kudos to the Golf Management Committee, the Board of Selectmen, FinCom, all the Board of Selectmen that have been throughout that term of the 23, 25 years that have gone by. Kudos to all of us folks, right? And we've always said, you know, when the golf course is paid off, we can buy a cruiser for the police department, in which building we sit in today. When the golf course is paid off, maybe we can buy an ambulance for the townspeople, right? For the fire EMS. We don't want to lose sight of being able to do something nice like that to give back to the community. So we just ask that we keep it within the budget, within a certain amount of money. I don't think we're here to tell you what that amount of money is. I think the Golf Management Committee has a pretty good sight on what that needs to be. But, you know, I've talked about being creative and how we could probably pay off a pretty good chunk of this in roughly 3 years and then start turning a profit from this new clubhouse that we're going to build. And that's really my objective, is to make sure that the town can turn over that principal and interest in a short period of time and start turning a profit to generate more profits out of that golf clubhouse so that we can start doing things nice for the community, i.e. buying police cruisers, a fire engine, maybe an ambulance, whatever it may be at the time of need, right? We can do that with a pretty decent budget in place because we have a decent reserve, what we would call the Golf Enterprise Stabilization Account. So we got a good surplus there that we could put good down payment on, and then with the profits that we're making currently, as long as golf stays on the trajectory we're on, there's no reason why we can't pay this off. And I don't know if it's going to be 3 years or 5 years. By certain 5 years, we can definitely turn this around and pay it off and start turning profits, real profits. I gave a speech, I think it was the golf committee, back in 2012 or 13, with just a food and beverage line item. We were generating, call it $1.35, whatever it was for food and beverage. And I kind of joked that that's not even a bottle of water per round of golf. And that's when we were only doing roughly 29,000 rounds of golf, right? And I said, if we get that up to $10 per round of golf, we could generate an additional $200,000 a year. That was well over a decade ago. think about that number, that's $2 million just on food and beverage line item, right? So we can do this, we really can, but we all just need to be mindful of what we're actually here set off to do. Build something that fits in, as Selectman Warner says, into the traditional, the rural character of our town, not doing something too big. We know right now we're currently running 1,500 square feet in that double wide trailer thing that we have there. That's lasted 20 some odd years. Let's not be fooled. That should have been replaced a minimum 5 years ago, okay? That's why we're all here in this room now. You have a commitment from the Board of Selectmen, the full board of the Selectmen, to get this project done and get it off the ground and get something built so we can have something nice to give back to the people of this town. And that's the main objective. So keeping in mind, we don't want a McMansion, but we need something bigger than what we have today, right? And that's roughly 1,500 square feet. I think it's somewhere 60 by 24, 25.
I think by 24, yeah, that's right there.
Somewhere around here, so that would put us just over 1,400 square feet. If that worked for 20 years, right, we've outgrown it, no doubt about it. Does it fit what we really need? No, but back then, we did what we needed to do to build the golf course and give the people a place to go and golf. We're in a different era now, so let's build something that's accommodative and that'll last another 25, 50 years, right? A decent place for everybody to go relax and enjoy and socialize, not just golfers, but people like myself. I've said it before on camera, I'll say it again to everybody, right? I might not be a golfer, but I do go out and I have my share of going out to eat, to have a few drinks with family and friends. What better place to do it than our golf clubhouse, right? We can, instead of going somewhere else once in a while on a nice summer night, we can go out there, meet our family and friends that are out there golfing after they're done. Hey, what time are you getting off? 5:30, 6 o'clock. All right, we'll all meet up there, right? That's more money in the kitty from people that aren't golfing. So there's ways to make a lot of money for the town, and I think that's what all you have as a vision, is to get this done and have something really nice that we can all appreciate and enjoy for years to come, decades to come, quite honestly, and pass it on to our next generation, so. I will say this, I will talk with the building commissioner, but under our current bylaws, I gotta see what the ins and outs are, but under our current bylaws, I think the commercial building in that residential zoning, the maximum can be is 3,000 square feet. So just keep that in mind as well. I will have a conversation with the building inspector if anything changes that I might not be aware of, that we can get away with, but I do know when the New England Farms was being built in the center of town, they had 3 lots they put together, and the maximum was 3,000. They went to zoning board of appeals and got an additional 600, which is a 20% variance. I was instrumental in getting New England Farms done. I hope that I can be, along with everybody else's help here, we can all be instrumental in getting this clubhouse built and do it at a reasonable price. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Warren.
Just to jump back into the third item on this agenda, new committee. You have to set up your structure, you have to pick a chair, vice chair. What I would suggest is anybody with board experience, start at least sitting down with Mr. Kelly and setting up your first meeting. Once you get that done, you can have a meeting, vote on who's chair, who's vice chair, and you can start really putting in some agenda items. But just remember, if you're not in a quorum, you can go around, you can ask questions, you can talk to residents, you can find out what people are really looking for. Keep that all in the back of your mind as you go through. And Mr. Gasper, he's gonna speak with the building inspector, so once we find out what our max is and how far we can push it, you can really hunker down, stay in constant communication with the golf committee, and really focus on making sure everybody's on the same page. And if you have any questions, as always, and most people know how to reach me in this room, along with anybody else on the board, and Mr. Kelly's usually always available. So just put the pedal down and we'll come up with a plan and make it happen.
I would just, maybe we suggest for the first couple meetings, maybe with Dave Flynn and John, do a couple joint meetings of the golf management committee and the facilities committee, just to kind of get it up and running, stand it up, give the history, the background, bring Dana and Steve, and then eventually just break off and let them cook and do their work. So that would be my advice.
Especially if we bring the architect in the first time, we can all meet together and deal with that.
And that's the thing too, if the facilities committee feels that you want to bring in the golf management committee, John, that's why we wanted a representative. If you feel that you're going to bring the full group in at some point for some historical perspective, that's fine too. But really, that's the role of the ex officios to help guide and be that bridge from the facilities committee to the management committee.
You had mentioned that you wanted to go to the town meeting in June. That's not a lot of time from now till then. How often can we meet?
Can meet every day if you want.
Okay.
You can meet as
I
many
need
times
48
as you want.
hours notice to post a meeting, so if you're meeting as a full board, you need to let the clerk know 48 hours in advance.
And we can, initially you can work with the selectman's office with Sydney to do that, so that's why I think it would be really good, as Kevin and Bob said, like, maybe get things moving, Dave Roche was the chair of the board of selectmen, you can do that, or, figure out to help
Yeah.
get that moving or whatever.
So we would have to, we're closing the warrant, Mr. Kelly, when are we closing the warrant? Somewhere late March for an article, the board of selectmen can kind of push that because we're the board of selectmen, right? So we could push an article pretty late, June 2nd, I think is town meeting, so you're talking
Published beginning of May.
yeah, somewhere like the second week of May, we gotta go to publish, so we would have to have everything kind of done for like May 1st to give you a better deadline. Look, if that can't be done,
We get November.
if that can't be done, then we go to the fall. Whatever it takes.
I'm just thinking that, there's a lot to doing this correctly, and that's not a lot of time to do it right. And you guys really want this done right, and I just think 5-6 months is gonna be a tall order.
And I agree with that. There's other issues where, to try to get all these guys together so many times in that short period of time.
Look, you're all volunteers, we understand that, right? We're almost all volunteers, right? I mean, we do get paid a small stipend to be board of selectmen, but I can tell you right now, that ain't the reason why any of us three do that job, right? Because I can tell you right now, I do it for free, right? It doesn't really matter, but we're all volunteers, so, and we all have schedules, we all have family lives and things like that, vacations and everything else. Look, it was just something that we said, if the May 1st deadline doesn't work, don't sweat it, whatever it takes. I think the biggest point is what you said, Mr. Prado, let's get this right, right? And that's what's more important, is to demonstrate to the people of this community that the folks that are in this room, we got our act together, and we're gonna sell you a great product, and we're gonna turn that product around and make it profitable for all the people of this community, right? That's really what this is all about. So, and I think Dave mentioned, Mr. Mona mentioned something earlier on, I think is important. We're not gonna get into everything that we would want to see in a golf clubhouse, but he did make a comment that kind of resonates with me, is an outdoor space, right? Is something with a deck and a covering, an outdoor space would be nice, so just keep that in mind when you're thinking about this building. Outdoor space matters, right? A nice deck area, and I'm not talking about something that accommodates 15 or 20 people, you're talking about something, a deck area with seating and tables that might do, 50, 60 people, whatever it may be. That's comfortable, right? And we'll leave it to golf management, because we got most of you know that have golfed out there, we got a tent that's out there, that's a pretty big size tent, depending on where they're thinking about placing that new clubhouse in relationship to where this one is. If we do things right and we have a big enough outdoor area, maybe we don't need that tent, maybe we do, and it's a smaller tent, but try to incorporate that into your design features as well, where you would walk out that back door, the decking would be on each side, you come out and the tent can be right there, so you're not going out into the pouring rain. I've been out there with the leagues, the tournaments, the big groups, 150 people, and it kind of sucks when you walk in from the clubhouse through the clubhouse, and you're walking that 15, 20 feet to get underneath of the tent, you can get pretty wet, right, on a really bad saturated day. So just keep all those little features in mind, and try to incorporate all of that into your designs, and hopefully we'll come up with something great, a great product in the end. I'm pretty sure we will, based on the faces that I'm looking at, the experience level some of you folks have. I have no doubt this is going to be a great clubhouse.
Absolutely. Mr. Flynn, who is the architectural firm that was hired, or have they signed on the
We
dotted
haven't
line?
signed a contract with the firm that the golf management committee unanimously selected first, ranked first. It's called Catalyst Architecture and Interiors out of West Falmouth.
Okay.
Yarmouth, West Yarmouth, I'll say that correctly. As I was saying just briefly before the meeting, they'd given me their estimated cost to do the project. I wanted to make sure that it was within the ballpark from work I've done and work I thought it was, but I actually called the second ranked firm and just asked them to give me a ballpark price. They were actually a few $1,000s higher than what Catalyst estimated, so that tells you they are right in the ballpark what the job should be. Just put it out there, and they're looking at probably $35,000 to $40,000 to get us completely through this first phase. He did say that some of his services are optional as well, depending on how much detail we may or may not want on some of the things that they propose when they do a project like this. So it's kind of like a la carte when you get to the bottom of like, do you want detailed 3D renderings at this point in time or don't you? And things like that cost them time and money. I mean, we don't need 3D renderings, maybe we do, but he said those things we don't have to commit to in the beginning. We can do that as we're going through it.
That's very good. Thank you.
Yeah, anything that, Kevin, you're right, anything that requires expenditure of funds, go through the management committee and then to the board of selectmen.
I think it's important that maybe the exploratory committee, before we start looking at signatures and putting signatures on, the golf advisory committee's gonna have their opinion on it. I think maybe we need to share that information in one of your first meetings you have as a joint meeting with the exploratory committee. Share that with them, right, because they might wanna have input on that as well. I mean, they're gonna be just helping design and give input on what features are needed in this clubhouse, so we kinda need the exploratory committee to be looking that over and saying, well, we will need this. Somebody like Mr. DePrado that has a deep knowledge on it, he might see things on it that other people might not see, right? He's been, it's not his first rodeo, right? So it might be good to share that with the exploratory committee prior to a joint meeting, saying, here is some of the information, this is what and let them come in to the joint meeting and say, I think we do need this, and maybe your ideas are aligned and maybe they're not, and the reasons why the exploratory committee members might be seeing it differently than the golf management committee. Get some rationale, what's the explanation behind that, why do we need that, right? And if they can convince golf management committee, put it in there, and that price will then come to the board of selectmen for us to review and approve ultimately.
I think we have a real opportunity here to do something extremely awesome and extremely right. With that being said, does anybody have any questions on the charge of this committee?
When's our next meeting?
You guys
You
decide.
have to decide.
We're out now, we just did this kind of as a, introduction thing and get everybody together and
No
explain
pressure.
things, but
No pressure.
you guys kind of just go off. We don't want to say too much with the board of selectmen, ultimately the decision's ours, but you guys just go, do your thing, come back with something that's reasonable, that you can sell to the board of selectmen and the townspeople of this town, and hopefully we can give it to kumbaya and say, let's do this and let's go get it.
Technically, we can adjourn, and if you guys are still in session, you guys can ask questions of each other and, talk that stuff through, I think, right? Or,
Yeah.
and then adjourn at your.
And just one more comment, you cannot, if 4 of you on the exploratory committee are together, you cannot just take liberty and say, we're gonna declare this a meeting and start gossiping about golf stuff, okay? You have to post a meeting, there's open meeting law requirements inside here, you have to post a meeting 48 hours, it's gonna be posted on the town's website, town clerk and all of that. You can't, 4 of you can't get together, having a beer together and say, let's just declare this as a meeting and let's start talking, discussion about what we think in the building and coming to conclusions, because that is a violation of the open meeting law, right?
If you have a quorum, then no, you're not supposed to.
If there's 2 or 3 of you, have at it, dog. If there's 4 of you, you're a quorum, you cannot do that, it's a violation of the open meeting law, because now there's a quorum, 4 out of 7, right? Just keeping you guys all safe, it's our job to watch over and make sure everybody's just doing things legit and we keep everybody out of trouble.
Just in case anybody doesn't know what a quorum is, it's a majority body of the appointed committee. Read it, it's very important.
And I also believe that we can't do a serial conversation, as they call it. Like, John talks to me, I talk to Jeff, I talk to Adam, talks to Doug, about the same thing. You can't have more than a chain of 3 people.
Especially email.
I was just gonna say, if you all get your email addresses and you all see, oh, look it, I got everybody's email address, Dave DeRoche sends something out and says, I think the stairs ought to be purple, 3 of you can't go, I agree, you've come to a conclusion that's a violation of the open meeting law. So you're better off, whoever's gonna be the chairman, Sydney knows the rules, I taught her that very early on, when you're sending out memos, emails to the board, always put, please do not respond, not to violate the open meeting law, right? If all of us gonna be on it for an emergency, right? You just don't respond.
Correct.
Right.
You can email each other as individuals all you want.
Yep.
Have a heyday.
If anybody does have any process questions or any questions regarding how a committee works, come into the office, town hall, talk to Jamie. If Jamie's not in, Cindy or Tanya will be at the desk. They know it pretty well. Back in the hands, I would say.
And if not, then the town clerk.
Yeah, and if not, the town clerk, or you can reach out to any of us. As simple as that. You know, we're here to help, we're here to support, and leave it to you guys to come up with a beautiful product.
Should be easy.
All that for under $10,000, so let's get to work.
Everybody good? Everybody feel comfortable?
Yep.
Cool. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Good luck, guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
You still have to. That's part of what the hopefully we have all right.
The other two committees, make sure when you are leaving, you do officially have a vote to adjourn.
I see you again. Doing well, how are you? You still going? Yeah, sorry. I think so, that's feasible, that can
Take it to
Come up with it, I'll put it outside. Thanks.
You would.
in the RFP, you have to look at for us, if these supposed to be taken into account while doing this.
Is it necessary to hire
I kind of think so, because I want to make sure that, from my perspective, I just feel that that's what they do. I know that there are a lot of people around, but I just gotta make sure that anything that needs to be designed.
And I'll be honest with you, all but about a quarter of it, I left it in the porch because it was on my refrigerator. No, I ate everything on the, well, it was frozen, because it was outside, but I took a big piece out of frosted. And I put it in my mouth, and I was like, that's enough of this cake, I haven't given anything out.
Alright,
I can get us into a lot of different golf courses.
We've looked at,
The next golf committee meeting, I think is 2 weeks from Thursday, I don't have it in my phone.
It's a great business.
Add on the board of 1, 2, I'm very trying to get the architect to show up.
since we looked at it, they've expanded with the outdoor facility and there's a swing.
Nothing official, actually, everybody's on board.
It's a top golf. They use the top basic technology, but they don't, 10 days.
Sorry, I was looking, this was at 7.
Captain's course.
Yeah, that's not a big clubhouse.
I'm wondering if it is 7.
And it's a small, yeah, 2 acres clubhouse.
So what's that? So you said to Karen, when you're designing, it's already in and it's designed for
The septic was designed with a course when this clubhouse comes.
Was it town actually? Same electricity. Three-phase power down
Get their thoughts out.
You gotta
have the town water.
the toilets.
Person, can see if things can get done in certain areas.
How you doing? Hey, how you doing?
I think everybody thinks. Anybody's going to agree with that.
What we got to do is, we're gonna look at. She was looking at.
It's like 3,000 feet.
You should.
It's like, Yeah.
I don't think we're gonna have
Even north.
Yeah.
And then the problem is, that was my question, who's our golf? And our other thing is, the other long way away. I don't know when we're.
Yeah, that's fine.
The opening is.
I just think there's a lot of building.
Sometimes. Sometimes. It sounds like so much.
There are a few of us that do.
Yeah. I mean, depending on what they put in it, it should be a pretty good team.
And the other thing is,
Like you talk
I know you-
something that's on the low.
Billy Wayne,
you go to the
that,
low,
we're not a fan
that's on
of
the
it.
low. I don't think you gotta go any lower than that.
Yeah.
We have so many people in the concept that more than capable
Yeah.
from every single trade. Do a project.
They don't hold on to everything.
They don't hold on
to,
can handle food service, right?
Yeah.
Digging and
That's something.
excavation, and stuff like that.
Exactly.
So,
I think with everybody's knowledge of what they're gonna bring to this,
We should not have a town.
I don't know the laws of the.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I agree with What?
So the woman that runs
Yeah.
And
So I went to,
we have to go that route, they would not solve. That's the route we have to go, that's where we have to go.
Yeah.
So money on it.
Yeah.
From 6 to
I
7.
think everybody's got a clue on what they want.
Yeah.
I think when we all get together, we should.
We're gonna have, you have to have seats.
What they think.
It's not easy.
Yes, Dave.
Mr. Chairman,
It's
I have a question. Should we set a time for our next meeting? I know we have a lot of small conversations going on right now, but, you know, or do we want to open up the meeting and start talking about some specifics, or with some general ideas? I'm sure we got 12 general ideas here in the room, so.
I believe, I don't have it on this calendar, but the golf committee, we've already had a meeting. Yep.
21st, 20th?
So we could always post both groups together if people wanted to come join on the 20th.
At 4:30.
Yeah, we can get everybody's,
If it is 12
everybody's
people.
emails and everything right then and there.
Sydney has all our emails because she sent that broadcast out. Everybody's email was on there.
Can you have?
Did you
Get
get
together?
Yeah, just like.
Well, I get it, but my problem is when I go to send something back
You could
to
have-
her,
even if
it gets thrown back to me. So I just went there yesterday, and hopefully it works.
Because you were on the list, I don't know if your email was there.
Yeah, it is, it should be. If it's not, I'll.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, 'cause when I send something to her, though, it gets thrown right back to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I talked to her yesterday about it, so, yeah.
That's what I was was thinking, if it is this many people, it might make more sense to see if we could use this space instead of town hall
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
Okay,
So it's more comfortable,
Yeah.
I can talk with Sydney about that as well,
Yeah.
see how we
Yeah.
schedule this.
all right. Even our golf meetings?
Well, if we're having it joint together.
All right, so the next meeting, the 20th, everybody shows up, we'll be here.
Yes, I think that'd be better.
Provided the room is
Provided it's
available.
available.
All right, no, that's,
Especially if we're looking at it a little bit early, I want to make sure it's fine with the police chief, and then we're at 4:30, unless they're using it, hopefully it's available. So I'll check with them on that.
okay, okay.
And I'll get everybody's email address. I know Sydney has everybody, but I'll never send it to me, the group thing, so I have everybody's. Let you know.
Dave, do we want, for the next meeting, to have an idea, like a brainstorming session of, like, what you guys are looking for, what the town, I mean, I know I've heard a lot of generalities, but my goal is to take the generalities and start to, like, get them into some cohesive sort of idea or vision.
That sounds like a good idea, John, because we got an idea of a pro shop, right? And food and eating it, but what does that mean? And, you know, and how we're gonna scale it out. And I think that's partly what we collectively think, and there's a couple of options tied in with the architect to potentially help us on the estimated cost side, right? So we don't get too great of an idea and like, oh yeah, that's gonna be $5 million, just throwing that out there, that's all we're looking for. Right. You know, so we don't wanna be so grand either, so you're right, we wanna be kind of focused as to the size and scope of what we all think would be the right solution for us. And then, you know, maybe this is brainstorming, even if we bring this together a little bit and kind of back up everybody who's prepared for that following Thursday as to their ideas as to what they think the core components need to be of this building. And this, so we can start to come to a consensus on that. Because again, we don't want to be spending time and money, you know, with an architect without him having some semi-clear vision. Granted, their job is to take people's visions and put it into reality, but we want to be kind of focused so it's not all over the place either.
So from your people who run the facilities, do they have a list of what they're looking for as far as their priorities? I mean, I know we're talking, the selectmen talking about, Kevin's talking about outside patio, stuff like that. Like, what are they looking for? You know, knowing exactly what the priorities are and kind of knowing what the budget's gonna be is gonna be very helpful. Not knowing what the budget is in some ways is kind of like going car shopping and they say, what do you want to spend? You go, I have no idea. So you're all over the place.
You know, I think we're going through that process now.
Okay.
With this architect firm
Yeah.
and with everyone else that's gonna be here. You know, there is a limit that I think we kind of discussed, but not, you know, and then there's the selectmen limit, and then there's the architect limit. So I don't know, it's all gonna be somehow combined and figure out where we gotta go from there. But we don't have like anything in concrete, say we're gonna spend, like he said, $5 million. It's not there.
Yeah.
And Rich, I think you were spot on about the timing, that trying to bring it to the June town meeting is
Do it right, but
not.
Do it right,
window.
but do it
There's
fast.
lead times on stuff that we can't even get information on. Like, just a project I just finished doing, I couldn't get quotes in time for like electrical components. So I was like, what is taking these guys? And they're like, I'm just so busy, right? So it's tough to get information.
Sure.
You know, it's 5 months at this point, right? We're already halfway through February.
Right, exactly, so.
Richard did bring up something that maybe everyone should think about is taking these road trips to look at some different clubhouses, especially like he just mentioned, we should go look at the lower end ones, the higher end, and then the middle end. And he's got some poles that we can hopefully get in there with. I've got some, and you know, some of the ones that I have in mind, they just built or just added on within the last 4 or 5 years. So you get some kind of an idea and see where we go. I don't think if you all want to go, we can all go. You know, it's just a matter of who wants to go when and that kind of stuff. Or, you know, we split it up, you guys go to this one, we go to that one, something like that.
Didn't you guys do that years ago, John? When, like,
What's that?
maybe, what, maybe 9-10 years ago, you guys went to Sutter's Marsh and
Yeah, I went
pictures
with,
and-
yeah, it was less than that, like, yeah, he was still
I
there.
was still working there,
Yeah.
so it was a long time.
Yeah, we went, but since then, they've added on.
Right.
They come up with their swing garage and their heated driving range, and they extended the restaurant a little, but they also do a lot of functions in it.
Right.
Huh?
We're getting a heated driving range, John?
Do I need one? No. You got one in, your kids got one in this garage.
That's something we should think about though, is making it to be able to be built onto, right? For an addition in the future maybe?
The folks at Southern Marsh told me that they sold every tea time in that outdoor area they have, which has technology built into it in a bar. And they have tea times, I forget the cadence of the tea times, but they sold out from 8 AM to 4 PM. So they play till dark, all winter long.
Imagine that.
And I'm not suggesting we should do that now as part of the clubhouse bill, because that's all, but thinking about the future of how to generate revenue, and, because I don't think going to Southern Marsh to see what they have would probably be valuable. They do a good business at that.
That's a very good idea.
Yeah.
That's an ideal spot.
There's a few, I just told Rich that McCoy Brook just added on, redid their whole clubhouse. We could go to back 9, which is not a bad eating area, it's a smaller clubhouse. So some of the problems is, like at West Bridgewater, what's the name, Scotland Lakes.
Whole Scotland
They have a facility that's beautiful, but their carts are like from here to the corner to get to, that kind of thing. So I think we're gonna stay away from that kind of stuff. Like they were saying with the tent, going from the outside, inside to outside and getting soaked, try to stay away from stuff like that, I think.
I think there's value in understanding what the user experience is, the golfer's experience. So I was talking to John earlier and I said, do we know who our golfers are? Are there email addresses? Can we solicit ideas from them? You're not gonna please everybody in a situation like this. When I was at Resi and we were doing capital project, we'd say like, hey, some of these things we have to do. I even asked John, what is the septic system built for? At
Well, that's
ARB,
what I said,
right?
right, we're gonna need a new one.
You gotta start thinking about that stuff as part of this build, and
Oh, yeah.
can't tolerate 55 people at one time. I don't know what capacities are.
When I
You have
make
to,
tea time, through their website.
No, definitely.
you have to know things like
Septic is
that.
gonna be a consideration.
I mean, the architects,
Right now, you've got to think about
and I think bringing an architect on is important because they know those things. I just worked in a few big projects at work where if we didn't have an architect, we wouldn't have known capacities and law and parking. You have to, ambulance egress, fire egress, stuff like that, you have to understand that stuff.
Absolutely.
And a septic system can be a problem because a big one can be expensive.
I don't know how big the one we have there is.
I just built one that is big enough for 100 people at one meeting, and it was expensive to build.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's above grade too, and the laws have changed since we built this golf course in town,
Yeah.
right? So we had to build this huge, we ended up turning it into a tee box, because that's how high it was.
Yeah.
Just spitballing ideas
Yeah.
that we should think about.
Dave, doesn't Dana have all the emails from the people that play out there?
He did
More or less.
He did at one point in time, they were collecting it.
Well,
Technology.
maybe that's something we can access to do what,
We could ask Dana to do it, right? Send out a survey to your constituents and say things like, hey, we're doing an exploratory project, right? What kind of amenities would our golfers, and you're saying we got people from the Cape, we got people from up North playing, more people than Bridgewater get to come in here to play our course. Let's see if we can get some intelligence off of them. There's a lot of value in that stuff. I'm on the team titleist committee at work, right? We got millions of golfers, and they tell us what they want out of new products, right? And that's a lot of data to help define future products, and thinking 5 years out of what we're gonna sell to consumers. And it's all a click of a keyboard.
I think that's a great idea.
Taking the database that, hoping he still has somewhere, right, created.
He does it, if you make a tea time there, they send an email back.
So I guess they would grab all those back from, for presentation, whatever the software is, right? Create a Google survey, so it all dumps it into a, spreadsheet for you. Kind of, in my mind, cap the amount of open-ended questions you want to form so you can get easily to read data, so people aren't just rambling on with sentences. And you could see, it'd be a quick and easy way to get the interest of the players, beyond this group.
And Google will give you the analytics, it'll spell it out for you, it'll tell you what the trends are, where you can focus your ideas. And you're gonna get the person that doesn't want a bar, doesn't want to have any food, I just want to play golf ball. You're gonna get those guys, but that's on the table with the survey. So you don't put your ideas in that direction.
We should definitely incorporate that.
so have to decide on the chair?
I could be the chair for a day, I mean, we can think about it and nominate other people, I mean, that's what.
Like Bob mentioned, somebody with experience to run meetings and whatnot.
Well, I know how to get in touch with Jamie, and I know how to get in touch with Cindy and Tanya, and
Yeah.
get it to the town hall.
You know Robert's rules too.
Yeah, Robert's rules, right, okay, so. But that's up to the committee to decide, you know, we have a meeting, if we can have a meeting next Thursday, you know, that's fine. We're gonna post 48 hours before the meeting, so the agenda, you know, I could talk to Dave and just come up with a 1, 2, you know, at some point during the meeting, because you're gonna have your own agenda. At some point during the meeting, just come up, you know.
Should we have a quick meeting of our committee and choose who's gonna run the committee and all that stuff, and then meet with the,
That would be a good idea.
I think we should do
That's what I
that.
would-
So we're prepared to meet with the folks that manage. I think I'm just asking. you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we
do
should
that.
go to this room right now. We need to.
Do it right now?
Hey, you missing anybody?
Yeah, we're not in that.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's stand right there.
Yeah, there's 7 people, yeah.
Who's on Exploratory? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so we need, oh, so
Yeah.
7, all right, so all 7 are here.
Yeah, they're all here.
What positions do you have to have? You have a chair,
Vice
obviously.
chair.
Chair, vice chair, to take over when the chair ain't there, to make up the agenda for the week and contact the appropriate people. You know, it's not, being a chair what? You're gonna contact Pam. Well, you gotta come up with an agenda, so you would determine that at the next, at the meeting that you have. You're gonna come up with a future date
Yeah,
for a meeting. You're gonna,
we can,
2 weeks' notice, 2 days' notice.
48 hours.
48 hours notice, post it, you get to communicate with Jamie if you need to.
Communicate with
questions.
Avery, because he's the.
I'm the go-between.
Okay, all right.
So when you have a meeting, I will go
Okay,
and then bring the stuff back to our committee, and then it just rolls from there.
Our
right,
meeting needs to be filmed.
yes,
Yeah, they have to,
Yeah.
I think it's by law.
yeah,
Are you keeping our meetings?
yes,
Really?
yeah. Well, that's with all that open meeting,
I think.
information that we were given that we have to follow.
So that's part of what we've talked to Cindy and whomever at the town to schedule that, or do we have to find the?
I think when you post a meeting, they go to the cable people and when they show up.
Yeah, yeah.
It's gotta be records kept while we're
Right.
doing the meeting.
Well, that's the other thing.
It's still there.
That's the other thing, I don't know if we're gonna be given a do you have a secretary at the,
No, we don't, I tried to recruit one, but she said she wasn't sure if she could do it.
okay.
Do we have to take minutes?
Yeah.
Minutes seem to be, I don't know if, how they treat the video, if that's good enough for us.
I think that it's gotta go to everybody, you know what I mean? I mean, it's gotta be something in writing,
Oh, yeah, we have to, we
and it's
have,
gotta go to, once the meeting's done,
So we take minutes.
it goes around, you bring that, we go over the meeting that you just had, and say, do you agree with the meeting that you guys all read last minute's meetings? Yep, and then you go to
We'll
the
take a
next
motion,
one.
right,
Yeah,
to accept
right.
the minutes from the last meeting. I did it
Right.
6
But
years
the
ago.
minutes are being translated from the video, correct? I mean, you guys would be doing that, I'm assuming?
Wasn't Ed doing it?
No, Ed was doing it
Ed was doing it, oh, so you gotta elect somebody.
for the one meeting we've had since. I made notes myself, but I'd rather not be having to do it that way.
Can we assign a secretary to take the minutes every meeting and then disseminate them to the team?
If someone's willing to do it, you absolutely can do that.
Yeah, someone's willing to do it.
I don't see too many volunteers.
Well, it's time consuming, I would say, you know, if you have an hour meeting, you're gonna spend an hour and a half, 2 hours deciphering it.
Yeah.
So maybe that's a question we need to bring to the Board of Selectmen, or to,
Did you do both?
to the,
We meet once a month, sometimes we meet twice a month.
Anybody,
question we
anybody
bring to the
retired,
town
is in your
administrator.
office all day long?
You know, that's a question that,
Those meetings we sit and take 3 hours for, but we're sitting there for hours. I learned about how to piece of grass grows on the road, you know, that Stop that, I don't want to get into.
Watch the video.
Well, that's a big question I would ask. Yes, they've done that in the past.
Yeah.
They really have. So that's a question that we need to get answered. Someone,
So maybe next Wednesday, we could meet and decide who's gonna run the group, and then meet with on Thursday. I don't think we need a lot of time on Wednesday.
I can send an email because I'm probably gonna be in Manhattan. I got a drop down there for Monday night, Tuesday night, and shoot Wednesday. So my first available day is Thursday, the day we have the,
We
you
can
know,
do all
to
one
read
meeting.
You know,
Should be on.
so. You know,
Next Thursday's fine with me.
okay.
Next Thursday?
Yeah,
You want, I'm supposed to be here, I guess.
well, you got a meeting.
Next Thursday?
Yeah.
No, it's in 2 weeks, isn't it?
No,
Yeah. So David, are we gonna have our
So the
meeting
20th was the
and
next
then
meeting.
have a
Right.
meeting with
Oh,
them?
my bad.
I think would be the better way to go. So we have our 4:30 meeting, so they don't have to sit through it unless they want.
Yeah, we could do it at, say, 4:30 and 5:30, that way we both force it, can keep our meeting to an hour anyway.
Okay, yeah. That's okay with everybody,
Fine, too.
So,
for you guys, yeah.
so
We're gonna have it here at
5:30,
the,
now it's
station.
4:30.
Someone's gonna check to see if the room's open, so I think you might have something.
I'm gonna email them to tomorrow and ask her.
Okay.
We could have this space starting at 4:30, and just do them back to back next Thursday.
Can people attend the 4:30 meeting? Can I come to that? Just
Is it? Yeah, it's
Yeah.
cool.
Sometimes we have.
I don't know if you went into executive session or not. At my golf course, they went into executive session like every 15 minutes, but you can't do that.
No, it's probably, no, it's very limited.
It's like, everyone has to leave.
We
It's
have.
it's in the open meeting laws and people use it.
Once in a while. Issues out there, that's.
All right. So, I'll contact Steve tomorrow just to double check this, but we'll say, well, our regular scheduled meeting at 4:30.
4:30.
Here. Facilities, you guys at 5:30. I'll try to get it here. I'll get everyone's email address that comes to me anyway, that way if I get the answer back either way, I'll just blast it out.
and will you approach the architects and see if they can come
Yeah, I'm gonna ask you
next
to
week?
see if you can come next week.
Excellent.
Are we gonna be getting Dana's input on any of this? Or
What's that?
what he thinks he wants in a clubhouse? Or, I know, he, over the years, just going there all the time and talking with Dana, it's, you know, he's got his thoughts on what he likes, but he doesn't.
Yeah.
I think there's value in it. He's the
Yeah.
guy that runs, he's the director of golf.
Right.
Why would we not select him and Isaac and maybe anyone else that works here? It doesn't hurt to ask questions.
Timbles, you're gonna have to bring him in because there's stuff that's gonna be moved as far as,
Turn over every stone. I think the first few meetings we have to be exploratory, we have to ask questions.
Yeah,
Keep it.
absolutely.
Good question, is the new clubhouse going where the old clubhouse is, or is it in a new area?
Well, that's to be determined. We're gonna explore that. I mean, another factor is, we got the only driving range in town now, since they put the solar farm.
Do we have environmental drawings of the property where we could look at what we could do with his wetlands, things like that?
Yeah, we'd have to go.
Conservation committee would have.
the superintendent has all that.
He does.
Does it?
He should.
Yeah, because the.
I know there's
architect
one
asked
on
that
his
question
wall,
already.
so there's
And
gotta
I
be
knew
another
about
one.
contacting Steve to ask for him, which I told him to reach out to Steve, because I thought Steve had them.
Yeah, because you,
Can we find out how old the drawings are? Because in my experience, wetlands change over a 25, 30-year period.
they have, yes.
You're gonna have to get.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know they,
Just in case we wanted to kind of think outside the box a little about where we would plop a clubhouse and which direction it would be. It doesn't take much to be in a buffer zone. There's different kinds of buffer zones. There's 200 foot, there's 100-foot buffers. There's a lot that is required before you get permission.
Right, you have to get
You have to
through the Concom,
Oh,
that sort of
yeah.
thing. So, and that could take months right there,
That's a lot.
so.
All right, so we, as the exploratory committee, us seven, we're not going to meet before your meeting. And those, so didn't we?
We're gonna meet right after this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can have a lot meeting if you
Right,
want.
right.
Just take a seat and, relax.
Okay, no, we'll just go to that meeting, that's fine.
5:30 one?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're all invited to go to the, at 4:30. It's,
Yeah.
It's open.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just a little post, so you got post yours for 5:30.
right.
I think that sounds like a plan to get us going.
Do we need to
Good.
make a motion to adjourn?
These are the two committees.
I'll second that motion.
Well,
Well, you can't
you
win.
really can't.
Oh, I gotta make the motion.
John, why don't you make the
Well,
motion?
two
for the golf
committees,
management
two
committee?
committees here.
I'll make the, yeah, there's two. I'll make the motion for the golf committee to adjourn.
I second that motion.
All in favor on the golf committee?
Aye.
We are adjourned on the golf facilities
We'd
committee.
like to make a motion to adjourn the facilities, the exploratory committee. To adjourn?
Got a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.